Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I am Brittany Flammer. I'm a certified financial coach, and I love sharing videos all about budgeting and different money saving tips. I have clients and I love to help them with their budgeting. Um, a lot of people find it helpful to see someone else do their budget. So I like to share my monthly budget on here, as well as a wrap up or a report of my budget at the end of the month. So today I am sharing my May budget report with you. So now we're a couple of days into June. I'm a little bit late doing this month, but it's now or never because summer's here, kids are home, and life's kind of crazy. I'm going to go ahead and share my spreadsheet with you right here. And let's go ahead and get started. Sorry, I'm technologically challenged. Okay, starting with budget. My husband is salary, so he typically makes the exact same thing every month. So typically takes home $5,833. This month, he actually took home $6,059. So we made $225 more than we were planning. He's salary, but he's a teacher. But then sometimes he gets extra. He had to do an extra 32 hours of something, and he did an extracurricular in the afternoons. Book thing. So anyway, sometimes he does extra things and gets a little bit extra. So this month he got an extra 225. I always plan on the base because that's usually what he gets. And then if he does get something extra, then we get to spend it on something more fun. And I knew he was going to be getting something extra, but I didn't know the exact amount. So I just budgeted for regular. My business, I just budgeted 100 because that's how much we invest in mutual funds is 100. And then I actually got $813. This is my take-home pay for my business after I set aside money for taxes. And this is what I actually got deposited into our personal checking account. Then cash back. We use credit cards. We use two main credit cards. In fact, I would love to know, for anyone here live or joining later, if you use credit cards, let me know in the comments or in the chat. We use credit cards. We have two main credit cards we use. One is our main one. We put pretty much everything on it. And then we do have a travel credit card. So travel expenses, we will put on that. My husband is a teacher. He is taking a bunch of students doing an exchange in Europe this summer. So it's not through the school. He is doing it. And so he is paying for everything. We are paying for everything, for all of the flights, lodging, but then the students are paying us. So we've been putting a ton of expenses on our travel credit card, and we had a bunch of expenses this month. We went over budget on a few things, so we cashed in some of that from our credit card. So that's what this extra income is we cashed in $1,019 from the cash back on the credit card. My husband had a birthday, so he got $100 for his birthday from parents and in-laws. And then interest, we earned $243 of interest. We have money in a few different online savings accounts or high yield savings accounts. I love them for emergency funds and for some sinking funds. We currently have our emergency fund, as well as we're doing a major house update, and all of our cash for that is in an online account. So we earned $243. We just let it fit in those accounts. So I'll show you how I allocate that later on. So total income was $2,300 more than we planned, which is always a good problem to have. I like to budget on the lowest anticipated, so then when we make more, it's great. So we ended up making more money, so we did pay more in tithing. So we paid a little over $1,000 in tithing. So total donations was $145 more than what we had planned. Now moving on to our expenses, I start with like the boring, fixed, necessary expenses. Our mortgage is fixed. That was $1,376. Our electricity, we pay an average payment plan, so it's $23 every month. Our natural gas, we only paid $91 because we normally were on an average payment plan. So it's $142 every month, but then they reevaluate it and they reevaluated it and we had a credit. So we only had to pay $91 this month. Our city bill, on the other hand, went way up. We live in northern Utah. It snows. They don't read. Our city bill includes garbage and water. They don't read our water meters. So we've been paying our normal bill. but they don't read them for several months. So they hadn't read our water meter for 6 months. But in May, we got a huge bill because we had gone over. This was the extra water we used that they hadn't metered. So we ended up paying $279, so $164 more than usual for 6 months extra worth of water. Life insurance is fixed. So with this city bill, I now know I went over, so now I know I need to up our budgeted amount a little bit each month. It's also summertime and we have sprinklers and we have a fairly large lawn. So for June and July and August, I will increase this bill or this budget because we will be watering our lawn. Our life insurance, we budgeted $11.10, paid $11.10. Car insurance, we budget $106 because it fluctuates by a couple dollars every month. We paid $101.91. Phone bill, I don't know why it's not the exact same every month. It fluctuates a little bit, but whatever. It's close. Phone bill, $30 for the phones. Internet, $55 for the month. Gas, $195.32 for the month. Piano was $50. Preschool was $125. Groceries, this is where we went over, and I'm going to explain this in a minute. We went over by $345. We spent over $1,000 on groceries. Okay, raise your hand if your grocery bill has been more expensive lately. Yes, you are not alone. In May, our kids got out of school, and so I had planned on stocking up for supplies. So I did stock up for supplies. That being said, we did end up having a family party. Our son was baptized along with his cousin. They got baptized together at the same time, and we did a family luncheon afterwards. And so we split everything, but we ended up providing food for a lot of people. And it wasn't until June, but I bought almost all the supplies for it in May. The last few days of May is when I paid for everything. And I hadn't planned on that. I didn't think it was going to be till June or July, but we ended up doing it in May. So that was a huge expense. My husband also was preparing for travel, and I thought we just had a lot of last minute expenses. And our grocery bill also includes our bathroom and cleaning supplies. And chicken was on a really good sale. So even though I knew I was going over budget, I stocked up anyway. So that means this money is going to have to come out of somewhere. But we did go over budget. So you are not alone if you ever go over budget on your groceries. Eating out, we also went over budget. You're already sensing a theme here. We went out to eat twice, and the second time was some neighborhood friends that we had not planned on, but they asked us, and we needed to go with them. So we knew we were going to go over budget, and we did it anyway. Miscellaneous, we went over by $2.31. Entertainment, we were actually under budget by a couple of dollars. We went to a used bookstore, stocked up on some books for summer reading. Our kids' money, they can do jobs and earn money. If they do them, they would earn about $50. We ended up paying about $44 for their jobs. And then some babysitting, we spent $10 for one of our kids or two of our kids to do some babysitting. So our total expenses, we went over by $450. We spent $3,590. So we're going to have to make up for that somewhere. Let's keep going. Our emergency fund, this is one of those online savings accounts. It earns $72 of interest. So we didn't budget any money into our emergency fund, but the $72 of interest we earned, we just let it sit in there. So we now have $16,362 in our emergency fund. My husband's personal money, he got $50. But then his $100 for birthday money also got added to his account. He spent $196. I don't even remember I don't know what he spent it on, but he has $738 in his account now. My fun money, I got to my $25. I spent $181. It was my husband's birthday, and I bought him a Garmin, a GPS watch, and I pulled that out of my money. So I now have $28 in my fun money. Life insurance, budgeted $68, spent $68. So we now have $486 in there. House maintenance, we budgeted $125. We put $125 in. We spent $226. Flowers, sprinkler stuff, just the basic. We spend a lot more on our house in the summer, I feel like. $40.81 is what's left in that account. Vacation, we budgeted $150. We put in $100 or $600 and almost $80 into this account. So we put in the $150 we had budgeted. We had some interest earned in this online savings account of $13. And then $516 we put in from the cash back. So I mentioned that we got cash back on the credit card. About half of it we put towards our kids' extracurriculars because they've become really expensive lately, and we had some unexpected expenses. And then about half of it we put towards vacation. So we ended up in vacation putting almost $700 in there. We did, or almost 700 in there. We spent $41, so we now have $1,707 in that account. House updates, we did not budget anything. We put $697. This was money from my business. We paid some tithing, we invested. This is what got put into our house update. We did spend $4,489. It goes so fast. We are adding a garage. We put down the down payment, I think, for our insulation, as well as we bought some water heaters, did lots of plumbing stuff. So we now have $19,600 left in that fund. Clothing, we budgeted $75, put $75 in, spent $73.50. So we now have $31.50 in there. Gifts, we budgeted $25, put $25 in, spent $76.64. We have a couple of kids in elementary, 2 kids, teacher gifts, and something else. I don't remember what, but we have $31.72 left in that fund. Medical, we budgeted $100, put $100 in. Now we have $1,464 set aside for braces. Car expenses, we budgeted $75, put $75 in. We spent $234. We had one vehicle that we had to get registered. We had to do an inspection and registration for that. We also had a couple of minor repairs, like car parts, like taillight and rear view mirror, things like that my husband fixed. So we have $74 left in that account. Christmas, we didn't budget anything, didn't put anything in, so we still got $163 in there. Kids extracurricular, we only budgeted $300. We ended up putting $1,022 in there. What we did was the $300 we had planned, and then the $222 extra my husband made from work, from his paycheck, and then the $500 from the cash back on our credit card. We put all of that in to our kids extracurricular. We ended up spending $774. We were not planning on spending this much. So we set aside a set amount each month. It was $300, and that used to be enough so that we could pay for any miscellaneous kids expenses that come up. But we have 2 kids that are now on competitive sports, and my son, he just went from a rec team to a very competitive, a much higher level league, and they're paying for a coach now. Anyway, we were planning on paying a couple $100s, we ended up paying $1,200. And they changed. They used to take fees throughout, like you'd pay ref fees this season and ref fees next season, and for each tournament you would pay a fee. Now they tried to lump it all together all at once, which was great, makes more sense. We just weren't planning on it. So that's why we had to scrounge money. So we took money from our cash back and extra from my husband's paycheck. So we now have $284 left in there. My Roth IRA, we put $400 in. My husband's Roth IRA, we put $400 in. And then mutual fund investment, we put $100 in. So our total money into savings was $4,013. And our total money out was $8,649. So we went over by $414. So this doesn't work. So the number doesn't add up. So what I normally would do is we went over by $400. So I have to find $400 from somewhere. So all of our transfers into savings are automatic. So I could transfer some money out. I've also mentioned in previous videos, I keep $1,000 cushion in our checking account. So as of right now, I'm just going to leave it because we've got that $1,000 cushion. So I'm just going to leave it. And then I'll chat with my husband to see where he wants to pull it out of, to refill the cushion, if that makes sense. Congrats on eating out twice and only spending $53. Where do we go? So my husband and I don't like paying for servers or waitresses. So we do, when we eat out, it's like fast casual restaurants, like Chipotle type, where you go, you order, you get your food, but you don't have like a server come to your table. So we never pay for servers. We always order water. We occasionally, my husband will get a drink, but usually we just get water, like a soda, but usually we just get water. Sometimes we will share. Depends on what we're doing. The 2 times we ate out this month, one was at a fast casual restaurant with friends. We each got our own thing. And then the other one was actually at a sit down restaurant with friends. And we did like an appetizer and an entree, and we shared. But we were there for a while because we were with friends. So we did do a big tip, even though we didn't pay as much for food. Eating out is one of those things that most Americans eat out quite a bit. But when my husband went back to school and we had like no money, we never ate out at all, like ever. So now we've incorporated it to a couple times a month. So we've been slowly adding it back into our budget. But that was one of those things when money was really, really tight that we just had to give up. And I do like eating out, but I still have to prepare food for the rest of my family. We have 5 kids. So I feel like I might as well eat at home with them and then go do something for fun with my husband, spend our money on something else. So we don't eat out a ton. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions that you have, feel free to add them in the chat right now or leave a comment. I do my best to answer the comments as quickly as I can. Otherwise, just know you're not the only one that went over budget, because we went over budget and I'm usually really good about budgeting. But I'll pull it out of somewhere. Anyway, any other questions? Leave it in the chat box below. Thanks so much for joining. I hope you have a great month. And this is the awkward part.